It is Kait Borsay. It's the evening edition on Times Radio. Let's get some reaction on Rachel Reeves' spring statement from leading businessman, entrepreneur and founder of Phones for You, John Caudwell. Good evening to you, John.
Yes, good evening, Kate.
You backed Labour at the last general election, switching from the Tories, of course. How do you feel about them now?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think it's important to say I believe they were the only electable party and the only party with any chance of doing the right thing. If you then say, have they done the right thing? In some ways, yes, without doubt. Some of their actions are very strong. But I didn't agree with a lot of the stuff in the budget. And so overall, I think they could do a lot better.
OK. You have said that Labour have done things wrong, very wrong. There are particular areas of dissent. Tell us a little bit more about those. Is it sort of fair to say that maybe Rachel Reeves is not investment-minded enough? She's not bold enough on trying to generate growth through encouraging investment, encouraging business?
Let's talk about a very simple one, capital gains tax. At one time, we had capital gains tax that was tapered down to 10% if you kept your business and grown it for 10 years. I would have suggested that they did the same and had a 10% tax, but for 20 years. And what that does is encourage people to grow the business, knowing that the more they grow it, the more profit they're making for the UK, the more profit they're making for themselves, and the less tax they're going to pay. Instead of that, what's happening now is they're driving people ashore when they want to sell the businesses, because they don't want to pay that quantum of tax. Now, of course, everybody wants the minimum tax bill, but there is a threshold at which people will stand. And that's different for every person. It's different depending on how much they love being in the UK. So that's one of those things. I very strongly disagreed with what they've done about non-doms, because I just think, A, it's unfair, and B, I think they'll lose more money than they generate, because non-doms are leaving the country at a rapid rate. And you can witness that when you find out the number of applications for people going to Dubai, going to Milan, and going to Monaco. And they're getting record influx from the UK. And this can't be good for the UK.
I mean, look, we saw Rachel Reeves having to increase the generosity of a facility to help non-doms repatriate their funds to the UK. So she's had to make tweaks to that already. But you're right that there is... Well, a report published in January found that more than 10,000 millionaires left the UK in 2024, 157% increase on the previous year. Non-doms, of course, now scrapped. So anyone has to, basically people living here have to pay tax on their entire earnings. Let's get back to Rachel Reeves and what we've heard today. I mean, we need to appreciate that she's in a tricky financial position.
Well, that's been overplayed. I believe.
Okay.
And what she's done is dug holes for herself in election pledges that's given her less flexibility. But let's just look at where we are. Would you rather invest money in keeping people in Britain and helping GDP growth, or would you like to reduce debt? Now, let's just be realistic about this. We have 2.7 billion of debt on our balance sheets. Debt to GDP is nearly 100%. If they put another 20 or 30 billion on there, would that really make much difference? Now, I'm not all in favour of borrowing for the borrowing's sake, but if the borrowing is to create wealth, you can look at it as an investment in the future rather than a cost.
I mean, look, she will say she's got to stick to her fiscal rules. I think everyone still feels a little burnt by the Liz Truss philosophy. And if we talk about borrowing more to promote growth, we are not only breaking fiscal rules, but we're entering into that Liz Truss territory, which obviously spooked the markets, and we're still paying the price for that. So can you understand why Rachel Reeves is nervous about that?
I agree with that completely, because what Liz Truss did was really cavalier in many respects. And if you explain to the markets what you're doing and why you're doing it and why it'll produce GDP growth, and then as a result of making GDP growth, what you get is less debt as a percentage of GDP growth. What you can't do is stymie the economy. And I think Labour are doing that, although they're doing some good things. I mean, the increase in defence spending will create GDP growth, but it will also provide us with export opportunities. The housing situation to drive housing up to 1.5 billion over the next 5 years, that will produce growth, but that doesn't actually produce long-term growth. All that does is give the economy a short-term boost and provides extra facilities in the UK, extra infrastructure.
Unless they keep building.
But after that infrastructure is built, there's no more benefit from it. So, there's other things that need to be done smarter, and we need desperately to attract inward investment in high technology sectors, especially in the environment, and high paid jobs. And that is really very, very doable if we really understand what's needed.
Okay, so you would like to see investment in that. You would like to see borrowing stretched to be able to facilitate that. Which
not Kate, not necessarily. I'm not saying borrowing is the answer.
Okay,
so would you get the budget right, and let's attract inward investment.
Okay, so let's talk about 20 to 30 billion pounds needed for inward investment to create tax incentives, to create any sort of incentive for businesses to come, worldwide businesses to come to the UK, offer jobs, help with our productivity and promote investment, promote growth. How do we make that happen? Where does the money come from?
Well, easily, because the solution I've given to both Boris Johnson and Keir Starmer is it doesn't cost us not one penny, because what we do is have a differential corporation tax for inward investment in sectors that we really want to encourage into the UK. We guarantee it for many, many years, so they feel the security of that. They come to the UK, they grow jobs, they have to meet their jobs forecasts, they have to meet a higher than average wage in their business and any other criteria that government choose to set. And we look at those businesses, encourage them into the UK, give them a differential corporation tax, and all of a sudden you've got a flood of inward investment and it hasn't cost the government 1 cent.
Okay. Is this government presenting like an anti-growth government, or maybe a flat growth government? Are you, John Caudwell, surprised at how Rachel Reeves has had to climb down a little from her growth agenda? She'll tell you it's because of the black hole, the constraints, global economy, worldwide financial constraints, Liz Truss, the impending Donald Trump tariffs. She has reasons behind this for scaling back her plans on growth.
No, I'm not surprised. But answering that first question first, you said, are there no growth party? No, absolutely not. I fervently believe that they fervently believe that they've got to create growth. I've got no qualms about that whatsoever. I'm just not sure that they know the best way of doing it and that they're implementing the best methodology. In fact, I would say it's not that I'm not sure. I am certain that they're not employing the best methodology that they can to grow this economy, grow GDP, and make everybody more prosperous. So there's a lot more can be done. So they're doing some things, but not enough. And the really smart thing, in my opinion, would be the differential corporation tax, which brings those businesses into the UK, possibly could flood them into the UK. And I'm doing a survey on that at the moment to try and test out whether that's true or not.
Yeah.
And if that were to work, we'd have phenomenal high technology businesses in the UK paying extra corporation tax into the UK, creating high paid jobs, and it wouldn't have cost us a penny.
Would that not really annoy businesses who've been here for a long time, who've invested their time and money in local economies? Also, if they are more sort of less kind of centrally based, would that not annoy them? They're the ones who have stuck it out. They are the ones that have provided jobs. They are the ones that have had to clip their wings in order to remain a viable business here in the UK. Are you not going to annoy them by offering a preferable rate of corporation tax to outside companies coming from other countries?
And that's a very good challenge, Kate. And I thought of that many months ago, in fact, many years ago.
I'm sure you did, John.
And what we would do is offer the same advantages to them as the inward investment companies, provided they ticked all the boxes. And the boxes would be very demanding. So some of them would achieve that status, yes. That would reduce corporation tax slightly for those businesses. But the overall and overwhelming benefit would be really on the positive side.
Okay, a quick yes or no to end. Are you still supportive of this Labour government, John?
I am, and I really, really desperately hope that they'll succeed. And up to yet, there's nobody else to support anyway. So I just keep talking to them, keep hoping that they'll employ some of the policies that I have that will help them grow, help them make Britain successful, and make everybody more prosperous.
Maybe you'd like them to employ you, John, as a special advisor. Would you?
Well, you know, I could radically change things.
You must have been asked in the past.
No, I haven't been asked, actually. No, I haven't been asked, but I could radically change things. But I don't have the time, really. I've got way too many charitable interests to do and other things. But, you know, the one thing I would do definitely, and I would have announced it a long time ago, is a big reduction in state spending. We've got a colossal 1.2 trillion per year on state spending. Every 1% we cut from that, and 1% doesn't sound very much. Every 1% produces £12.5 billion of saving. Now, they are gradually coming to terms with this and doing something about it. I don't pride myself that that's down to my conversations with them, but they're doing it regardless.
Yes. It sounds a bit like Elon Musk, John, this.
No, it's not Elon Musk at all. Let me just correct you on that. I am nothing like Elon Musk. I'm a philanthropist, a humanitarian, and the work that I did would be very, very selective and very justifiable, and nobody would lose their jobs unless they deserved to, or unless the department was massively overmanned. So it would be a very measured, very careful, but very rapid decision making. And within probably 3 to 6 months, I would have probably saved the country, I would say, at least £25 billion in that space of time. But I am actually, in making that statement, disregarding any problems that might cause with the unions, or internal politics of the party. Because I've not got a viewpoint on that, really. I only know what needs to be done.
Okay, well, look, the offer's there. It sounds like there's an offer there. Anyway, to Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves. John Caudwell, it's great to speak to you. Thank you. A businessman, entrepreneur, founder of Phones for You, John Caudwell there. Good to speak to you.